Marlene is back now with us to answer some more of your questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, stand by everybody because you got this one here. The first one, with this heat, can I trim these limbs that have been shooting out of my lemon tree? Is it safe to do that now?
So when you have these unusually longer limbs or branches on citrus, they're called water sprouts, and they are taking the energy from the rest of the growth, and a lot of times they tend to have thorns on them where the rest of the plant might not. Basically cut them. You could cut them any time of year. Also remember, you could cut the rootstock growing up any time of the year as well. What you do want to avoid coming into the cooler season is doing heavy pruning that will then expose any of the hidden foliage to potential frost. And also when you prune, it does push out new growth, and that growth is going to be more sensitive to frost. So really, this time of year, only prune the root suckers and those water sprouts.
Okay. And this one is, does this plant need some intervention?
That is an aloe, and that one's actually is an aloe vera. Remember, there's a whole bunch of different aloes, and that's the lower leaves. And just like any plant, they age, and as they age, and they'll fall off, or you could cut them off. The one on the left looks a little bit like sunburn, which is normal, believe it or not. Succulents, even though they like heat, a lot of them prefer afternoon shade in this area because they can sunburn. That's perfectly fine. On the right, it looks like you have a little bit of fungal leaf spot. If it's only right there, that's fine. I would just take a pair of pruners and cut that section off. There are spores and it could potentially spread, but if the rest of the plant looks fine, all you need to do is cut those off if they bother you.
Okay. And then this one right here, what's the name of this plant?
That's commonly called the corn plant.
Corn plant.
But it's not a corn plant. It's a Dracaena. This one's Dracaena fragrans, and I was telling you, Tina, because you said, oh, that plant, it's not my favorite plant. Right? I'm going to just let people know that's not Tina's favorite plant. When they bloom, they're actually fragrant, but it takes them forever to bloom. Incredibly common office house plant. But if you look, what they do is they will take cuttings, and there's 4 different plants in there, is my guess, because they stick them in there to root and to make it look like a fuller plant. That's why you've lost 1 or 2, because they're competing with each other.
Oh,
so,
I see.
The reason it's drooping, it's going to have to be, you're going to have to check the soil moisture. They prefer to dry out completely before you water. But, if you've let it dry out and then didn't water it, it's going to wilt. But of course, if you've overwater it, you could have some root rot going on, and that will cause a plant to droop as well. So dig around in the soil. If you haven't transplanted in a while, it's always a risk when you transplant a stressed out plant, but sometimes that's how you check the root system.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do people follow you?
Marlene the Plant Lady on Instagram and Facebook.
Is that good?
That is perfect. Yes.
Hey now.
Yay.
Hey now. And then
Yes.
also your
Flower Power Garden Hour is my podcast, and Everything Gardening is YouTube.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Marlene will be here throughout the morning, and the 10 o'clock topic is
I am going to give you tips on how to properly plant a plant.
outside or inside?
Well, in a pot or in the ground.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.